What's a secret you discovered about someone that you'll take to the grave instead of telling them you know? Warning, the stories in this video range from funny to sad. You've been warned. I walked in on my GF's dad jerking off in the front room. I just kept walking, pretended I saw nothing. Been almost 40 years, he's now dead. Secret is safe. I mean, not till you're gone. Now not until all of us are gone. My cousin is actually my half-brother. Great aunt told me before she passed away, but didn't want the cousin to know. Just to make it clear, my dad slept with his brother's wife. But hey, my mom also slept with my dad's brother. Dad knows, but dad does not know that I know. Family treed. So your parents and your uncle/aunt were swinging with each other? Your dad slept with his brother's wife and your mom slept with the brother? Same brother? That's wild. Think on the savings and Christmas cards though. Picking up a voicemail from my dad and just hearing him sob for 15 minutes. His little sister had just died and he was sitting in the car and letting it out somewhere private. And he'd somehow butt-dialed me. He's not one to show emotions and would be absolutely mortified. It properly broke my heart though. I witnessed my dad break down in his mom's arms, my nan, when he tried to resuscitate my mom and he and the Ambos couldn't bring her back. She died suddenly, heart stopped, and it was horrific. Those cries. I'm fairly certain a friend of mine is sleeping with his cousin. I've known both of them since elementary school, and they both live in town. Recently, he said he's been hooking up with some girl. One night he said he couldn't hang out because he was going to this girl's place for the night. I ended up going out with some other friends, and the route home had me pass by his cousin's house, and I saw his car parked there. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but there's no way I could bring it up to them either way. You can. Invite him over, and as he gets out of his car, play a banjo you conveniently had hidden. Hey, did you know it's legal to marry your cousin in 18 states? Anyway, tell me about this girl you're hooking up with. Found out my college roommate had an OnlyFans where he rated vacuum cleaners between shoots. The man was doing tech reviews and thirst traps in the same clip, and somehow both were 5 stars. Aiming hard for that SAH housewife market, I see. My mother got drunk and confessed that she had an abortion in her teens that led to a severe infection, rendering her infertile. She didn't remember her confession the next day. I'm adopted. A tiny pause. I still have a challenge from last month for 100 subscribers. Please help me complete it. It really helps me grow and the content will be even better. And you can also like the video. Yes, I'm being a bit cheeky. I was hanging out with a friend who had shown me a screenshot of a guy I liked asking her out. Later that day, I opened her iPad to play a game while she was on the other side of the room, and I saw that she had forged the message. I didn't want to embarrass her, and I figured she probably felt like we were in competition, so I kept my distance after that. That's a pretty mature and badass way to handle that, especially at whatever age you must have been. Mad respect, G. My first roommate, which was male, had Playboy pictures that he had pasted his mother's face over the face of the models. I only found it when I looked in his desk drawer for the electric bill that he neglected to pay. Edit, he was not a boyfriend, just someone to split rent with. It'd be pretty unfortunate if it was just a friend who played a joke on him and he didn't find out about it until after you'd seen it. Roommate thought, what the heck? Very funny, other friend. So glad no one else saw this. This is what I'm thinking. It was someone's joke and the roommate mistakenly thought he did it. My dad once sent me a late-night drunken text clearly meant for someone else. I shall not repeat the words said, but they were X-rated and homosexual in nature. He turned up on my doorstep the next day, clearly rattled and anxious. I made no mention of the text, but he did ask me if my phone ever glitches and receives random texts that don't make any sense. I said no, and that I've never experienced anything like that. He seemed to calm down and he left shortly after. I'm fairly certain my dad was gay, or at least bisexual. He's passed now, and there's no need to let anyone else in on this. He clearly didn't want anyone to know, and I will keep his secret. R.I.P. Dad, I miss you.
I'm keeping a secret around a gay dad, but in a different way. One of my coworkers years ago was also the daughter of my kindergarten teacher. Teacher passed of cancer sometime prior. Her dad lived nearby. He got injured in some accident, and I guess as a favor to her / late memory of wonderful teacher, I helped out, ran over food and meds on a lunch break, etc. During one of these moments, he just casually drops that he's gay. Totally hid it, was a great lover to his late wife, knows his daughter doesn't know, keep it under wraps, etc. A couple of times at work, she hinted that she thought her dad was gay, and a couple of times I casually just danced around the topic. I came across a couple things while helping clear out my late in-laws' house. They were hidden hoarders. So there was stuff from previous decades, like the paperwork for a high-interest second mortgage in MIL's name, which specified to only communicate with her about it. She handled 100% of their finances quite capably most of the time. Presumably something went awry in the 90s and she hadn't wanted anyone else to know. I also found several unopened bottles of FIL's blood thinner. He was gutted when MIL died and obviously lost all interest in life. We moved in with him for several months, trying to help him adjust. It didn't work. I suspect FIL kept picking up the scripts so my partner didn't figure things out. He kept pretty close tabs on FIL's health even after we moved out. But with no one around, he stopped taking them. I kept all this to myself. My partner was having enough trouble with losing them within a couple years of each other and finding out about the hoard. I knew an older couple. The wife had cancer but was taking a medicine that was helping keep it somewhat under control for a few years. They found out one day that the husband had stage 4 prostate cancer and they gave him a few weeks to live. The wife stopped taking her meds and ended up passing first a couple weeks later. The husband lasted another month or so. It was so sad. They were both wonderful people. My grandfather gave up after my grandmother passed, picked drinking and chewing tobacco back up after having not touched either for decades. About 6 months after she passed, he had a heart attack while we were visiting to check up on him, and he passed later that night. A day before she died, my grandma, who had gone blind, thought I was my dad, her son, and told me that she was concerned about my mom, and she regretted that my dad married her because she believed my mom wasn't good enough for him. For years, my mom believed that was true, but my dad and my grandmother denied it. My mom also passed now, and it's just my dad left. No need to put that in his head at this point. Good on you to not burden your father with that. It will bring no positive change and will only hurt him. My friend was a Vietnam veteran, and on his deathbed, he told me he killed his buddy out of mercy. Their position was being overrun, and his buddy had lost his legs from an explosion and begged to be killed before the enemy found him. My friend loaded him up with morphine, and he died in his arms. He spent 5 years as a POW and said the guilt almost killed him. He never told anyone. It was one of the last conversations we had, and I told him he did the right thing. My mother had disclosed that my brother was not a product of love, but of force from my father. First time I ever typed it. I was repeatedly sexually assaulted by my mother when I was 5 to 8. She also gave me some white powdery substance that I recalled burned when snorted, but made me loopy. I was kicked out at her request when I confronted her. My dad was desperately trying to save his marriage and protect my sister. I don't know if she hurt my sister. She finally moved to NZ to be with another man, cut off everyone for a decade. When we traveled to NZ, we visited for a few days, but I had lost all respect for her, and she knew it. For years we tried. She was mean to my wife, never cared to get involved with our kids, so we shut her out. She died of cancer a few years ago. I don't recall the year, or even the date. I have not told this to my wife, sister, therapist, or my father. You're the first. My dad is the most loving, wonderful teddy bear of a man, and it would crush his soul. Fuck her and your father. Feels good to type it out. My friend got shit-faced drunk and told me that about 15 years ago, she had a cryptic pregnancy. She went to the emergency room with abdominal pain she thought was appendicitis, but turned out to be labor with a baby she didn't realize she was carrying. The crazy thing is, I remember her calling me that night to take her to the hospital. I was about an hour away and unable, so one of our other friends took her. When I checked on her the next day, she said she was fine and it was just constipation. She was not in a great place financially and was in a newer relationship and unsure of who the father would be. She placed the baby for adoption and never said a word. We have been friends since we were 12 years old, and I've never seen her sob the way she did when she told me. She said she placed the baby for adoption, but I don't know, something made me feel like it actually died, and she couldn't bear to say that. The next morning, I could tell she didn't remember, and I've never brought it up again. But it eats at me to know she's carrying this pain around all the time. It kills me that I could have been there with her that night and supported her. She's been a pretty serious functioning alcoholic for most of our adult lives, and while there are many things that factor into that, I believe this trauma is one of them. My grandfather fought in World War II as a bomber pilot. He was a very quiet and reserved man. I never heard him say anything more harsh than darn. And he went to church every Wednesday and Sunday. He would never talk about the war. In his 80s, Alzheimer's took his short-term memory and he no longer recognized me or anybody he knew, including family. I visited and he thought we were still at war in the 1940s, and he was giving me pointers. He told me how much cash I needed to get a good dinner and a nice prostitute in town. He said the Brits didn't like the Americans because they were making a lot more money and could afford the best girls. He was a young man that watched friends die daily and assumed he was going to die, so he spent his paycheck on nice food, booze, and the best huggers. The rest of the family will be just fine, not knowing about this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me your precious likes. I really appreciate them. Subscribe and write your opinion about these stories. Talk to you soon.